His need for greener pastures and his desire for the advancement in his career has spawned his migration. Edison Ed David, also known in the UK as Mr. David, has soared high and proved that persistence, dedication, and consistently doing your best will make you succeed. I'm Rose Eclarinal. Join me in this episode of One Home.
Ako si Rose Eclarinal. Before showing you Edison Ed David's home in London, you're about to see his second home, one of the two schools he manages in southwest London.
I think Edison's brought a lot to the school. He's also an Ofsted inspector, which has come in very handy. He knows what Ofsted are looking for. He knows what improvements we need to make as a school. He's very efficient at putting things into place.
He's streamlined everything and he's amalgamated accounts. He's put them all together, which has saved a lot of money and everything. Yes, and you know, he's so good that he encourages you to do more. And you know, he gives you that confidence that you can do these things and everything, and he will always thank you. Yes, he's lovely to work for. He's really very good.
You know, an example of that was the COVID-19 pandemic, where we found our school was directed to do a lot more than other schools, but in a way that positively impacted our pupils and our staff development as well. And the outcomes of that speak for themselves.
If you would describe Ed in one word, what would that be?
Brilliant.
And Katie?
Brilliant, efficient.
Yeah, efficient came to mind as well. Very efficient.
Okay.
Forward thinking.
So you were talking about some of the projects that you have done in this school.
Yeah.
What are those?
Well, if we're talking of building capital, so this one, this is a brand new nursery. So I applied for a nursery capital grant from the Department for Education. So I was able to move the 26 place nursery from the main building into this brand new building fit for purpose, and we're able to extend the places from 26 to 52 full-time equivalent places for nurses. So that means a lot of people, or a lot of young people, can actually join us as early as they could. We're full, so it's very popular.
That was a peek into an educator's life. Not just anyone, but someone who has taken on a challenging leadership role. Our next stop is Imperial Wharf.
This apartment, in a prime location along the River Thames, is home to 50-year-old British Filipino executive head teacher and Ofsted inspector Ed David, a property he purchased in 2008.
Hi, Ed.
Hello, welcome to our London flat.
Thank you.
So it's a two-bedroom flat, which is the standard for these properties. This is the master's bedroom, and we have another bedroom there, and that will take us straight to the open plan living room, kitchen, dining area.
Okay. Well, Ed, napaka-efficient siguro nitong flat mo, no?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Using the space.
Yeah, and also it's a modern property, so the insulation is, we're quite well insulated. Kita mo naman, it's warm even though the heating is not on. It's also soundproofed, so we don't hear the neighbors, they don't hear us.
In a minimalist house.
Yes, yeah, that's
'cause you
correct.
So what's your strategy?
Yeah, the strategy is that if we don't need it, either we don't buy it or we throw it away. So we don't hoard. And that is my principle because I think for me, clarity is very important. So a clear space makes for a clear mind.
But the entire property is huge and you have a very nice view of River Thames.
It is indeed, yeah, that's what you pay for. You don't just pay for the space that you're occupying because you're part of the whole amenities of the property. Then you're 2 minutes away from the river. So especially in the summer, masarap paupo ka lang doon, you're having your pims, so whatever it is that you would like to drink and just enjoy the views really.
You're now in a leadership role. Tell us about what you do.
An executive head teacher position is quite a new position. So as an executive head teacher, at the moment I am managing 2 schools. One is a 3-4 elementary school where I manage about 120 members of staff. And I have a smaller school, which is about 25 members of staff. The 2 schools have their own head of schools, which in the Philippines you call them principals. So I manage the work of those 2 schools. And part of managing those 2 schools is ensuring that standards remain very high. I manage the finances of the school, so between the 2 schools I manage around about 5 million pounds, which is about 620 million pesos, which is quite a huge responsibility in terms of making sure that the funding works for the organization. I manage the HR as well, so you need to make sure that the recruitment procedures are robust, safeguarding are there. I make sure that the professional development opportunities for teachers are there. You make sure that the school remains to be at the very heart of the community. So that's one part of my job as an executive head teacher. I have another job, so I am an inspector for the Office of Standards for Education. So I am an Ofsted inspector. So Her Majesty's Chief Inspector commissioned me to go into different schools around London and inspect them and give them a grade against the different standards. So on the other side, I am also an advisor for the Department for Education. So every now and then, the ministers of state call on me to give them advice. I have one, we look at the different education issues, and then we give our views as part of the head teacher reference group for the department.
How do you become an Ofsted inspector?
You are invited to.
Okay.
The selection is rigorous because you have to have the highest level of credibility and integrity to be able to become an inspector, because the future of a lot of children and the future of a lot of staff actually, are on your hands. So
It's a tough job.
it's a tough job, but you have to be able to inspect the schools without
Bias.
fear or favor. So you have to be as objective as possible.
Ed is from a family of educators. He studied journalism and education. He graduated from the University of Santo Tomas and earned a master's degree from King's College in London. He worked in media in the Philippines but had a U-turn in his career.
I wrote for the Philippine Daily Inquirer. I had a stint as a trainee at ABS-CBN as well with Maridatu Mamawal, which was then Magandang Gabi Bayan. So after graduation, I worked for the Manila Times, and they had this tabloid called Abante. I was working for both. But the division superintendent for Tarlac City Schools asked me to help them promote campus journalism because kakapasa lang nung Republic Act 7079 during that time, and that was the door for me to go into teaching. So I taught in a secondary school. I was head of the English department, but I was also teaching at the Tarlac State University in the evenings and AMA University.
You came from a family of educators, and what was it like growing up for you?
Well, I grew up in a very small village in the Philippines. It's in Tarlac City. So my dad was a retired policeman, and my mom was a primary school teacher. And all my aunties were, without exception, were teachers. So there were 5 of us in the family. So there are 3 boys, the 3 of us first, and then we have 2 younger sisters.
Okay. Please tell us about your migration story. Paano ka nakarating dito sa UK?
Nag-Google lang ako, tapos nagpadala ako ng CV ko sa isang agency, teaching agency. Nirefer niya dun sa agency nila dito sa UK. And they rang me, and the rest was history. So I came over here, and then I taught in a school in Westminster. So this is my eldest son, and he was younger. That's my youngest son. Ito yung ano ko. Ito yung staff ko dati doon sa dati kong
School?
school. Yes.
Wow, ang dami.
Oo.
Are you the one playing the guitar?
Oh, it's my son is a musician, so he owns 3 guitars.
Okay.
And he plays the keyboard as well. But he loves to play jazz, so he plays in a London club on some weekends.
You're good at what you do, but then again, you're in front of British kids.
Yeah. The first thing that we need to look at is behavior management. So I'm quite known to be strict. So when I enter the classroom, you can hear the pin drop. But that's the Philippines. It's something that you expect. But here, that is not the case. So you will have to have a lot of tricks under your sleeves to be able to manage the behavior of pupils. Because unless behavior is managed, learning cannot occur.
In the Philippines or UK, Ed has always been ahead of the game. He received the Bagong Bayani Award in 2014. In the UK, his schools have won awards and recognitions. As an Ofsted inspector, he inspected close to 100 schools in London. He meets government leaders regularly and also met some royals.
Yung unang na-meet ko dyan would be Princess Kate. She wanted to visit. She's very gracious, she's very generous, she's very down to earth. So she mocked with the kids. Naglinis sila ng mga pig pens, you know, and she stayed there for a day. And it became a very big event because, you know, the media love her so much. And the other instance, I met the king, who was then Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales, during the opening of the international cricket competition in the Oval, and we had a brief chat about the state of education, and he cracked a joke. I don't remember what that was about, but he was very good.
Before becoming a British citizen, Ed lived an OFW life, overcoming many challenges. But in 2015, his 3 children and ex-wife followed him in the UK.
During that time, my eldest was already 16. That was their choice. I made sure that if they wanted to come, it was because they wanted to. Then I didn't impose it to them. So, itong bahay na to, this was bought with the thought that it will be a single person's house.
Because you did not impose it on them that
Yes.
they would come.
Yes, that they would come, yeah.
Ed sacrificed a lot. He was away from his children to invest on their future.
Wow, this is nice. This is London view.
Yeah, it is, yeah. So, that's your Chelsea area. And that's your Wandsworth kind of area. And this is Fulham here. So,
Fulham.
Is UK your home now?
Yeah, it is.
What is home for you, Ed?
Yeah, for me, home is both a place and a time. So there are instances that even my home is not a home. Sometimes, if you feel, if you're too stressed or you're too pressurized and everything. But what I do is I make sure that that is not the case. That's why I never work from home. I never work at home. I never brought work home. Because this is my home. This is where I put my feet up. This is where I watch mindless TV, where I don't have to think about anything. So that is a home. Sometimes home is also a time. So you find, sometimes you go to a restaurant and you say, I actually feel at home today. Because, that moment for you is home. Sometimes home is a person. Sometimes I talk to someone and say, I feel at home with you. So home for me is not a concrete thing. It's not the floor that you step on. Sometimes a home is a place, a time. Sometimes it's a person.
What would be the best memory of this home?
I think having my children here is the best thing that ever happened in this home. I think seeing them grow. This flat actually is it's a sanctuary for us because we're busy people. This flat actually, has a role to play because we needed somewhere where we could just put our feet up and everything. But there are lots, like when they arrive here, for instance, my son, when he arrived, is already 16, where he had his sixth form at the King's College Math School, which is the only mathematics specialist school in London. He got a first class in computer engineering and is now working in. So that is a memory in itself. So, and it's the same thing with my daughter. My daughter graduated first class at St. George's University, and she's now a clinical trial associate. My youngest had 3 A's in this GCSEs. It's doing really well. There are lots of memories here, but they are memories of achievements for our family.
That's great. Congratulations, Ed.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Ano yung pwedeng ipayo mo sa mga nanonood who are probably in the Philippines if they would want to be a teacher in the UK?
When people ask me, say, what do you need to have as a qualification? So thinking that, for example, if you have a master's, you can qualify here. It's not what gets you in the job that's important. It's what it is that will keep you in the job. And to become a teacher here, and you know that even native Brits are having difficulty maintaining a teaching career, is actually to understand what the education entails. So understanding the curriculum, understanding the pedagogy, understanding the approaches to teaching, but more so is understanding what British pupils are like, because that is actually the point that people are really struggling with, understanding what learners are like. I didn't do anything special. Yung work ethic ko is I never do anything for the sake of doing it. So when I do something, I make sure that it starts at the point of excellence. If it's not excellent, if it's not gonna be good, there is no point in doing it. Even with my work now as a leader, I expect that from everyone. You don't do a job in a mediocrity level. So you have to make sure that you do, and do that every day, because I think when you climb up a ladder, it's not actually that ladder. It's actually it's very progressive. It's you don't even know. And in my promotion, I never asked for it. Most of the time, it's given to me as a consequence of the hard work and the commitment and the dedication that I put in. I'm very outcome focused.
How to be you po?
If you want to be successful in anything that you do, it doesn't have to be teaching, it doesn't have to be a specific profession. It's always to be dedicated to do your best at whatever you do on a daily basis. Because it's the accumulation of those bests that makes you be successful. It's not that one big thing that you do. It's not that one big show that you perform in, or it's not that one lesson that you excelled in, but it's those things that you do. Because good every day, overall, is an outstanding achievement in itself.
Ed is one of the first Filipinos in the UK, if not the very first, to have reached this far in his teaching career in the UK. His story surely inspires. I'm Rose Clarinal, and this has been One Home.
Saan ka man dalhin ang kapalaran, Iisang bayan lang sa puso mo'y laman, pinagmulan at babalikan. Konting tiis na lang at hanggang sa araw na yan ay asal. Kami nandito lang, sabay na pakinggan ang mga kwento nyo. Isigaw natin sa mundo, bagong bayani namin kayo. Sipag at tapang nyo, hinialay sa mundo, sinasaludo namin kayo. Pilipino, itaas ang noo, ipagmalaki mo